Okay, good morning, everyone. So today's focus is to explain your writing project and your speaking project. Great for you to join. Can you please turn on your camera? I want to see all of you. Yeah, cool. Okay, so the first thing we start with is with your writing. So I'm going to share the screen to show you your book. Yeah, you can open your book by yourself. That will be page 22, as you can see here. Okay, so the instruction, as you already also could have seen on your journal book, the template that I already uploaded on TD Smart, it says that you're going to write an autobiographical narrative, meaning that the type of writing that we are focused on right now is an autobiographical narrative. That is the genre. And you're going to write one telling how someone taught you a valuable lesson about life. Yeah, so this is about you learning a valuable lesson, but someone else teaching you that, or maybe through an experience you've had in life with someone. Through that experience, you learned a valuable lesson. Now, there are two components that we need to look at, and that are both words, autobiographical and narrative. I both want to look at those to see and understand what that means. Now, before we go to the word autobiographical, I want to go to the word narrative. Now, we will get back to our book. I'm going to share something else first before we continue. Last year, we already talked about what narrative writing is. Now, in English language narrative, what does that mean? Now, this is a summary that I already also gave you last year. You must have seen this before, and I have uploaded it also again on TD Smart, so you have it again in case you lost it. Yeah. So if we're looking at the acronyms of GPFDO, yeah, the acronym which stands for genre, purpose, focus, devices, and organizational pattern. So we're looking at narrative writing. Narrative writing, remember, it is about a story. It holds a storyline, right? So do you guys remember from last year the narrative arc when it goes up? This is the rising action, and you got your climax, and it goes down, which is your falling action. You guys must remember that. You must remember my awful drawing on the board of the arc, because I cannot draw. All right. Okay, so the whole point of this is that it went up and then it goes down. Now, if you look here, the genre narrative means a story, means it always has a plot. The story has a plot. There's movement, something's going on, always something goes wrong. If nothing goes wrong in a story, it's a super flat, mundane story. Okay, we want stuff to happen. And then when we look at the P for purpose, we can see it is to entertain. Yeah, either to make you happy, cry, or frustrated, all in one. And then F, the focus of this type of writing is on the setting, which is the plot. Yeah, we are focusing on the place and the time and the characters, yes. And of course, the dialogue. And then you've got the whole arc coming in from the rising action that starts with the setting, followed by a conflict, builds up suspense, and it reaches the climax. And then the falling action, we get to the resolution and then the ending of our story. All right. Now, the devices that are very important to use are descriptive words. So figurative language, remember those? Yeah. Figurative language, such as simile, remember that? Metaphor, yeah. Hyperbole, symbol, personification, repetition. Another aspect we've got sequence words, because in a story we're pacing. Its chronological order is its organizational pattern, and so we use sequence words and time words. Now, if you look at the notes, you see imagery. Remember last year I told you that narrative writing has a lot of description, whereas descriptive writing has little story. Yeah. So yes, in a story we gotta describe a lot. Therefore, we use figurative language and sensory details, um, which are connected to your sight, which show what you can hear. So sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch. And of course, we have our multiple adjectives that help us create that sensory detail. For example, the usage of multiple adjectives. If I were to say just the apple, it's very flat, but if I would say the delicious, juicy, cold apple, it makes you build imagery. You get this vivid picture in your head, this mind pic, and you can imagine the apple to be juicy and to be crisp and to be and you would desire to eat one. So we can do that for opinion, size, age, color, and material. Remember that? OSACM. And they have to be in the correct order. Remember that? Then no commas. But if you use all from one category, let's say all opinion, as what I did just now, it's the delicious, juicy apple. It's all opinion, meaning we use a comma. So what we look at is our graph. Always remember, you gotta have your focus right, which the genre of your text is narrative. So if it is a narrative, it is to entertain. Then that's the P, the purpose, objective. What is the register? What is the formality? Yeah, like the formality will determine the diction, the choice of words, the tone, the voice, and that will eventually create the mood. And you got to think about this because you, as the writer, you determine what mood you want the reader to grasp. So if you want them in a certain part of your writing to be happy, then your diction and your tone and your voice should be initiating happiness. Okay. And of course, your audience, always think of your audience. For whom are you writing? And also the setting, where are you writing, or where is your writing placed in, which all will determine the formality. Now, this was last year's lesson, a quick review. It's still valid. You will still use this today. It's an easy summary for you. Okay? Cool beans. That said, then we're going to go to the focus of our specific topic for our writing project. Yeah. Okay, which is, hi, Tommy. It's good to see you, man. Tommy. Okay, so we're looking at autobiographical narrative. So let me show you the PowerPoint. It's almost too hard to pronounce. It's a mouthful, isn't it? How many syllables does that have? Chuba, how many syllables does autobiographical have?
Biographical. 7.
7! It's a lot, man. It's a mouthful. Autobiographical.
Narrative.
Yeah, so what is that then? Because you know what a narrative, it's a story, then you know what a biography is. Okay, who can tell me the difference between a biography and an autobiography?
I think autobiography is we write about our own story instead of biography, which someone else writes for you.
Yes.
I think it's different. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah. Because now, if you guys remember a little bit about the last year's vocabulary analysis, then you remember that auto is the prefix. Yeah. So, and bio is a part of it, and graphy. So, autobiography, remember? Auto means self, bio means life, And graphy means the writing of. So the writing of self-life. Remember that? Yeah.
Yes.
Cool. So that's how we do the context analysis or word analysis. Yes, people always look at the root of the word and then put it apart, look at the prefix and the suffix, but you start always with the root. And then most likely it goes from the root, from the middle to the right to the left, and sometimes from the middle to the left to the right. But you would make sense. It would make sense if you look at it all separated. Now we're looking at a combination of an autobiographical narrative. So who can tell me, combining the idea of narrative and combining the meaning and idea of autobiography, combining that into one, what are we going to write? Jordi, can you tell me, Jordi?
I don't really know.
Yeah, that makes sense because I haven't taught you yet, but I was trying to, not trying. I would like to hear what you think it means. Try to combine, like you've got autobiographical, so autobiography means writing about your own life. You write about your life. And you've got narrative, which is a story.
The story of your life.
Yeah, exactly. Good. So you're basically writing something about your life in a story format. Yes, you're writing a story and you will become the main character of your own story. Wow, interesting. Or not? Interesting lah. Yeah, so you're going to pick something and that is more specific. It's not just any story. What did I say just now? What is your writing project's topic again? An autobiographical narrative about, more specific?
Our own story.
Yeah, about a lesson that you've learned
The
through
lesson that we
someone.
learned.
Yeah, a
Can,
lesson that you've
can,
learned in your life. Yes, Daphne? Daphne, you have your Okay, let's go to the next slide, yeah? Yeah. So the purpose. What is the purpose of an autobiographical narrative? Well, it's to tell a true story. So as we pointed out just now, with an autobiography, you're telling something about yourself, but it's always based on a true story, so it's factual, yeah? It's not made up. It's not a made up story. And since it is a narrative, means it has to have a plot. Okay, you follow the narrative arc. So it is a true story about real people's lives, in this case, your own life, your own experience, and your thoughts. Okay, like for example, here, a young woman rock climbing. To do this, she had to master the techniques and equipment, and then she had to overcome the fear of heights, and so on and so on. And what are the challenges and problems would make an interesting story about a climber? So in this case, let's say this person, this woman, writes a story about herself being a rock climber, and then she must have gone through something that was difficult, and she tells that in a story form, placing it in a narrative arc. So with you, you can choose any topic you'd like, whatever you feel connected with and comfortable with talking. But remember, since it is a story, it has to have dialogue. It has to have the rising arc, the climax, and the rising action, the climax, and the falling action, and an ending. And in the story, you have to include dialogue. Yeah? And remember, you're the main character. It is therefore smart to write this in the first person point of view. Yeah? What was that again? What's first person point of view again? Elise, you remember?
We become the main character.
Yeah, and how and what kind of pronouns would you use? So you would say the name of the person, so you would refer to yourself, right? So you would refer to yourself. How do you refer to yourself? Other than the name?
My.
Yeah, exactly. Great. My, I, me. Yeah. Yes. So think about an event, what happened to your life. What happened to your life? Something, yeah, nice to tell about. And what details would help to build interest in the story? So you got to come up with that. So the general topic you guys already know, it's autobiographical, so it's about your own life now, but it has to be something, a lesson that you learned and that someone taught you or through an experience you learned. Come up with that and then start brainstorming on the ideas. What would you want to say about that experience? Yeah, what happened? What was your challenge or the problem? Because remember, it's a story, it must have a conflict. Yeah, and how did you overcome or solve the problem, which goes into the resolution? So your brainstorming is super important. You have the broad topic given by me, then you have to specify it to a more specific topic, which will be the specific event that you went through. And then you brainstorm on ideas for that, and then your brainstorm will help direct you uh, to what it is you really want to say. You can pick the points you want to use, and the ones you don't want to use, you can leave that and then write it all in a outline. Now the question is, do we still do research for this? Because this is a story that is based on me. Do we do research? Yes, you do. Do I do that? Well, as I taught you already last year, research is done not only to use that information in your writing, but the reason why you would also research on a topic is that you get a broader perspective and knowledge and understanding about the topic. So the sources that you look up regarding to the topic that you're taking, by looking up other sources and reading about it, it just broadens your perspective. It helps you understand more about it. And another reason why we do research is to use those sources in our writing. So we incorporate the information into our writing in a way that we paraphrase it, so we're not copy pasting it. Okay, so there are two different purposes for doing research. Now, in your case, you're writing a story about yourself. So this is not something that you need a source for, but I do need you to write down two sources for the background information for the, what is that? Not two, four sources for the research that you did, just to broaden your perspective, to understand about it. So that could also be a source that you looked into on what is an autobiographical narrative, or for example, how to write an autobiographical narrative, or another source about.
Miss, you're on mute.
Yeah, so for example, that the reason why you take it another source is to know on how to write this type of writing, or maybe understanding more on the language to use for this type of writing. So I do want you to do research on it. Remember, you probably for narrative do not use that information in your writing, but you use that to further develop the understanding on this topic. Yeah, so research is always in two ways: for your background knowledge and what you incorporate into your writing. But in this narrative, since it is about your experience, you will not incorporate that into your writing as in the content, but you will learn and do research on how to improve your writing for this type of writing. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, we'll go to the next slide. So autobiographical narrative. Okay, it gives you the chance to present writing in which you are the leading character. Yay! I'm central in the story. Maybe you don't like that. I'll leave that to you. Okay, we have different ones, different characteristics. Here it says narrative nonfiction. Why is this nonfiction? Is this not fiction? This is not fiction? Or is it now?
Of course
Cynthia,
not.
Cynthia, what do you think?
Is it fiction? I think.
If I write about myself, about my experience, is that fiction or non-fiction?
Oh, if you write about yourself, it's non-fiction.
Yeah,
It's
correct.
autobiography, miss.
Yes, and why is it non-fiction? Can you explain? Marliesje?
Because it's based on a true story.
Yeah, good. It's based on real events.
Because
Good.
it is a true story, not based on a true story. If you say based on a true story, you can tweak it.
Yes, you could. But remember, even so these are more realistic stories, means that based on true events, right? But written in a story form. If it is fiction, means it's all made up. It didn't happen.
Yeah,
Right?
it's like Titanic.
Yes. So make sure that it's an engaging story. Do you guys know what that means? Engaging.
Engaging.
What is
It's
that?
like capturing the audience.
Yep. You are like, yeah, more interactive. People are attracted to it, and how you write it, you really include the audience. Well-developed conflicts, that should be clearly there, otherwise it's not a story. Well-developed resolution, range of literary strategies and devices, yeah, to get the plot going, sensory details, effective sentence structure. Now, in academic writing, remember I told you before, it is important to use a lot of complex and compound complex sentences. Now, in a narrative, in a story, you also use a lot of compound and even simple sentences, because sometimes with simple sentences, you create a different mood. If, for example, it is a sudden, unexpected situation, it could be, whoa, no, stop, you know, like you make different sentences in a sense to create a mood. That would be in a dialogue. But you could also say, Janie went off and didn't look back, or Jamie stopped. That's a very short sentence, but that can create a certain atmosphere or mood. Yeah. So we use a combination of simple, compound, complex, and compound, complex sentences. Details, yes, of course, to explain the story, you have to use, remember, it is chronological order, so use your time and sequence words. Characterization, develop your character, make sure that we can look into the mind and the heart and understand the motivation, why the character gets angry or sad or whatever is going on. Build your character clear so we can imagine that. And your theme of your story should be very clear, okay? The theme is very important in your story. Which in your case then is directly related to the events that you choose, right? Like that. Now, examples for narrative nonfiction are biographical narratives or autobiographical narratives, blogs, diary entries, narrative essays, memoirs, and reflective essays. In your case, you're gonna write autobiographical narrative, right? Now, okay, we go to our pre-writing. Just follow the steps in your journal. It's already, the template is clear, so you follow that. You determine an appropriate topic. That's first. You have the broad topic that I gave you. You narrow it down to the specific event. And well, you can come up with a nice title and a topic. Also think about it. Do you want it to be a funny story, or do you want it to be like a deeper story that has a certain impact, it can be funny if it's as long as it's a lesson that you learned out of it, you know? So that is for you to decide. So narrow your topic and think of your audience. Now you're writing it to what audience you want. Probably the one reading it is just me, unless you share it with your friends. This is exciting to read. I'm excited already. So choose a topic that is, if you take one that is too broad, it makes it hard for you to narrow it down. So be specific, consider your audience and the purpose, yeah? So who are the people that are gonna read it? Like, because, you know, when you're writing for adults, it's different than for kids or teenagers. And the language that you're using, you would adjust it to that. Also, the purpose, like, is it gonna be funny, not formal, informal, and then also mostly the setting or where it is published. For example, if a story is published in a magazine or a story is published in a newspaper or it is in a website and in a blog, it all determines the formality of your writing. Think of your purpose. Do you want it to be humorous, thought-provoking, or something else? And as you develop it, how much about yourself do you want to share with your audience? Yeah. You should have fun doing this. It should be fun writing about something. If you just want it to be light, just come with something funny, you know? Or maybe you have an experience, you say like, oh, this is really, you know, deep. This is good. Like a deep moment or one of your big God moments. Those are good to share. Then it becomes like a testimony of how you saw God work in your life. Let's say you could even talk about something that happened during this pandemic. That is something you've experienced in the time of quarantine, in the time of social distancing. Like maybe there was a struggle that you had, and throughout this circumstance and through the people that invested in you, you overcame something, you learned something that might be very helpful for everybody else to read, you know? Think about it. You want to approach it more deep, like, or more in a funny way. That's cool too. So your pre-writing, you start off with your brainstorm, of course, definitely like that. That would be from broader to more narrow your topic, and then to the narrowest idea, you come to the final topic that you will choose. So remember that your theme has to be very clear. If your theme is not clear, it isn't clear what you're telling the people. Your theme is your message, yeah? So basically your theme will be what you've learned, the lesson learned. So map out the plot of events, structure that, use the outline in your journal. Now, in the case that your journal is about, it's a narrative, so your outline has to be adjusted, okay? Your outline has to be adjusted. So the journal that I gave you is just a general outline of an essay. But since you're going to write a story, you cannot use the essay structure. Do you remember this from last year? Yeah. So in this case, the outline will be a little bit different, and I will give you an example of that, because the paragraphing in a story is different from an essay. Remember, like the paragraph in an essay is blocked, like you have topic, sentence, main point, detail, and then concluding sentence. Whereas with a story, we don't have topic sentences. Do you remember what I told you about tip top last year?
About what?
Tip top. So you block, you paragraph in a story according to the change of topic. Do you remember that? And the change of the person. When a different person is talking, you make a new paragraph. When the topic is changing, you make a new paragraph. When the place is changing, you make a new paragraph. Every time you make a new paragraph based on the change of the person, the topic, the place, and the time. Yeah. So tip top was as in TI for time, and then P for place, and then top for topic, and then P for person. So every time when the time changes, the place New paragraph when the topic changes, new paragraph. When the person who talks changes, new paragraph. That's why we call it tip top. So it's a very different paragraphing. There is no certain you don't have the topic sentences. Now you know this already. We did this already last year and also in grade 10. So what you need to remember for the outline, I will just give that one more time to you through your WhatsApp group so you will remember that, is really based on the development of your plot. Yeah? The development of your plot. Okay. So gather your details built on story elements, yeah? Character, setting, plot, and using literary devices. So develop your character well, your setting. Setting is the place, the time, the characters, yeah? And your plot. So you have to use dialogue, create a mood, and create suspense. For your brainstorming, you use a graphic organizer. If you don't want to use the one that I placed as an example, that's fine. Get rid of the one I placed, get a new one. Remember, make your journal neat, yes? So map that one out how you see fit. And here you go. This is the outline I was talking about, totally forgetting it's in the PowerPoint. This is the one that goes into your journal. Okay? You might be thinking, but Miss, the journal you gave us has a different outline example. True, because it's the one for an essay. Okay, you need to keep that. So that's why I told you, open the journal, open the link, then download the journal. It becomes a Word file, and then re-upload it into your Google Drive, convert it to a Google Doc file, and then you make several copies. Yeah, keep one the way it is as an original that you can copy from. Make another copy, and that one you use for Unit 1, and another copy that you will use for Unit 2. Now, the only thing you need to do in this journal, you have to adjust the outline, because the one that you got is the outline of an essay. And for this type of writing, you have to make an outline that is a story format, narrative. So this is what you put in, okay? This is what you put in. Make sense? Yeah?
Yeah.
You know what? If it just is easier for you, I'll just upload one with the correct outline. I'm just gonna do that. It's gonna be nice. Yeah? I'll just upload one with the narrative format so you're not confused. Let us just do it that way. So as you can see here, the beginning of your story, which is kind of what we would call the introduction, has three components in this case. Last year, you were focused only on the setting, time, place, and characters, and sometimes you would also think about the economical context, the social context, the historical context, remember? In that particular story. But what I want you to add this time is to engage. So how you catch the reader's attention. And then the second point is B, is a theme and a point. So I'd like you to write in a complete sentence that you give a hint of what the theme is. And your theme is definitely the lesson that you've learned. And then you come to the setting, you continue. And then you have the second part, which is your rising action in chronological order, event, explanation, climax, falling action. And then you go to the end of your story, which is the resolution. So develop that one well, and then you end with reflecting on the theme again. You have to repeat or restate what the theme is, what you've learned. That will be your story. Now, how long does it have to be? This one is not dependent on how many paragraphs, so it's up to you. But at least I think it should be above 250 words, yeah. In case of the instructions of your task, you might be wondering, because normally we would place that inside the tasks that I would upload. Now I will put the instruction inside your ebook when you go to your reading and writing ebook, and then you go to the first unit, the first thing you see are the learning outcomes for that unit for reading and writing, and then you go down by a bit, and then you see the writing project, autobiographical narrative, and there I will add the instructions. Yeah, so if you want to reread the instructions detailed, you need to go to your ebook. Cool? Yeah, I will just along the way edit things in your ebook. You will see things change, added it. Okay. Now for your speaking, the project for your speaking. Who can tell me what the project is for speaking? Did you access your ebook already? Did you look at it already? Or not yet?
I haven't yet. I don't understand how to do this smart yet.
The ebook you can just open anywhere. Okay, for your speaking project, you need to go to the ebook for listening and speaking. Yeah? Oh yeah, go back to the journal for uploading your writing. How do I upload my journal? Real quick, you upload your journal inside a Google form. So you don't place a link. You do not upload it on TD Smart. You go to your ebook for reading and writing, R and W, and then you go to Unit 1, go to the context. It's all hyperlinked. Go to the content at the beginning, and then go to Unit 1, and then click journal, and it automatically appears where the link is for the journal. And you click that link, and it brings you to a Google form. Then there is this question, this part where it said upload your journal. You click that, and it goes automatically into your drive, and then you just choose your journal for Unit 1, and it gets uploaded into the Google form, and you submit that form. That's how you do it. Yeah, so you do not upload it onto TD Smart. You upload it into a Google form, and the link for the Google form is in your ebook for reading and writing. Now, the same you do for your speaking test. Now, the difference is for your speaking, you will have to record a video or an audio. After you have recorded your video or audio, you have to upload it onto your drive. It must be in your Google Drive. Then you can take a shareable link. So you click right on your video, get the shareable link, and you place that link in your log. You go to your log, to the heading of task submission, and there you have the writing link, and then next to that you place your link. Yeah, so your video is going to be inside your log. Then how do you upload your log? Exactly the same way as your journal. You go to your ebook, Unit 1, section of log, and then you click the Google form link, and then there you have the option to upload your log. And you submit. Okay? It's not hard, it's easy. But you might be overloaded because it's a little bit different this year, so you gotta adjust, but you'll be able to do this. You're smart people. So what do we do for speaking? You guys remember what we do?
Wait. It's on the book, right?
Yeah. It's based on the book. Of course, it's based on Unit 1. Okay, let me open this file to just check. So for, yeah?
Express and support opinions.
Yes. Now, if we are looking at what you're mentioning, you go to the beginning. Sometimes I edited a bit, as you can see here. Oh, I'm going too far. Oh, way too far. Okay, here is the final speaking test, but this one is about discussing a case study. So what I adjusted it a little bit since you're writing an autobiographical narrative. What I'm wrote down is also, it's by the way also mentioned in your Unit 1 schedule. If you're confused to access it fast what your project is, you can look at your ebook. There it is mentioned, or in the Unit 1 lesson schedule, it's mentioned there as well. You're going to do a case study presenting something about the brain. Now, you are allowed to do a case study that is related to the topic in your journal, but it's got to have a relation to the brain. But if you find that too difficult, you can also pick an additional topic. For example, here you have different topics, yeah? Choose one of these topics. For example, hoarding in the brain, the teenage brain, I don't know, anything you can come up with is related to the brain. What I want you to do is make a case study. So I just want you to research on it, to find factors about it. Why is it happening the way it is? How does it come it happens that way? You know, like the 5 W's and H. You come up with information, and then you will present that information. So basically, your speaking test is a presentation about a topic of the brain that you have researched. Yeah, so first you choose a topic, and then you research the topic using the internet. You organize your research into parts. Like the first part is the definition and explanation of the topic. And then number 2 is story or example that relates to that topic. And then number 3 here, information about the brain as it relates to the topic. So these are the 3 factors that you talk about. You see that? Yeah. And then you present it. So if you are confused, if you say like, well, my experience, the experience that I wrote about in my journal is really cool, I'd like to do that and relate it to the brain, go ahead. But you cannot present a story. You have to present it factual. So it is objective, yeah? And or you take another topic, as long as it is correlating to the brain, it's good. Give the definition, explain the topic, related to an experience or a story that has to do with it, and give information about the brain as it relates to the topic. And then, yeah, brainstorm about it, come up with your ideas, make your speaking outline according to the log. It's already there. And then you record it. This must be a video, not an audio, but a video. Record the video, put the link into your log, and also put in all the links that you've used, at least 4 sources, yeah, sources that you've used in your bibliography, and then finish it up by filling out the reflection, which is super important. I also have already uploaded the rubrics, right, for the journal and for the log, so you know exactly how I grade you. Yes? It's important that you look at that. Those are the grading factors, yes? That gives you also a guideline on what to do. Basically, if you look at the final speaking task, mostly we take it from here, but sometimes if I see that, sometimes I might adjust it and just go over the other options. But the point is that what is good is that you can learn something from the stages that this shows. Yeah. Now in this case, you can also take another unit project topic and then follow these steps, which makes it easier for you. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So base it on page 31. Yeah. Any questions other than this?
Oh, it's very clear.
It's individual work, yeah? So this is not in pairs, not in groups, it's individual. It is important though that you involve peer work. So you can, for example, come up with a topic or your outline and then ask your friends. If you look over your reflection, student reflection, you can see that one of the factors is like, have I involved peer editing, or have I involved collaborative working and learning? That means that, for instance, let's say Cynthia already came up with a topic and made an outline, and then she asks, for example, Tommy, hey, Tommy, can you look at it? And what do you think? If you would listen to this kind of presentation, would it be clear? Would you like it? And then from the input you get from your friends, you can adjust or edit your work. And that also counts for your writing. So please, people, your student reflection is super important. because it helps you improve. You also have to be serious when you answer it, and 10 points are allocated for it. So it is important. Yes? So please go over your student reflection in your log and also in your journal. And then from there, you can see what are important components for you to do, like peer editing, collaborative learning. It means that you involve other people to help you understand. Maybe you just do like a group chat to better understand what the task is about, or hey, what sources did you use and what should I improve, like that. Okay. Okay, I also already uploaded the video for you. So please watch it and do the activities, yeah? Follow the instructions throughout the video. Oh, it's great. Yeah? All good?
All good.
All good. Okay, so it was great sharing this with you today. And we'll see each other again next week. And please feel free to contact me at any time to ask questions. Yeah, don't be shy about that. Straight access, right? Yeah, and then if, for example, what might be a good idea is also to do, you could do a study group, for example, if you're confused about that, like how could I do that? Now you could do that. You could, for example, make a group in WhatsApp where you sit together to just get to talk about the topics that we've talked about, or the project, for example. It might stimulate you and help you in your learning process. Yeah. I don't know if you would like that, but it might be good for you. So remember that those are also ways to enhance understanding. Even though you cannot meet, but you could meet through, your own groups like that. Yeah? Okay, be cool, everybody, and semangat, yeah? Have a great day, and I'll see you soon. God bless you. Bye-bye.
You may